All right, my beautiful people. This finally at last is my story time about doing ayahuasca in 2021 and then being bamboozled into doing ayahuasca for a second time coming up in a week and a half. So I have been teasing, promising this story. So here it is for all of you. Enjoy relishing in me getting bamboozled by Mama Ayahuasca. Let me start a little bit from the beginning. I did my very first ayahuasca journey in 2021 in Texas. For anyone that is unfamiliar with ayahuasca, it is a plant medicine that is very common in South America in places like Colombia, Peru, Brazil. It is a traditional medicine. It is for deep internal healing, for ancestral healing, for soul healing, for getting deep down into the places that are very difficult to reach on your own. This is a path of humility, of humbleness. You get a large heaping slice of humble pie, let me tell you. And humility is a really important quality to have when you are sincere on the spiritual path. This is not a party drug. This is not for funsies. This is not you take a little bit and see cool lights and textures and ooh ah ah sensation. No, this is for deep shadow work, getting into the creaks and crevices of your heart. This is for addiction recovery, substance recovery. This is for repairing your health from the bottom up and looking at all of the layers that culminate into why something is sick or diseased in your life on any level. So I want that to be very clear from the start, because I have met people that are like, oh, I really want to drop XYZ substance in my life, but I'm not allowed to because my sponsor doesn't like the idea of me taking ayahuasca. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to be very clear that this is a healing medicine, not a weekend, let's trip and have fun medicine. It's very intense, very hardcore. And it is actually made from two plants that are brewed together, a vine and a plant. And the combination makes it have its hallucinogenic potency that is quite intense. And that is one of the reasons that people tend to purge, and I'll get to that later. So that's a little bit about ayahuasca. That's my understanding right now. So 2021, I got the call to do it because my very best friend Emily is deep in the plant medicine path, and she was going to a facility where it was being poured by a Colombian shaman that was here in the United States. And that is another thing I want to be very clear about. This is not something you take from a girl who has taken a weekend retreat or a guy that's gone to the jungle one or two times. Our shaman had to apprentice for over 20 years before he even poured a cup for someone. So this is a really serious deal. You need to be very, very discerning and selective if you go to do any plant medicine with anyone. Know your group, know the practitioners, know the facilitators, know the music, know the environment, know what's around you. Really ask a lot of questions and feel into if this is right for you before you jump ship into something. And at that time, I remember being fairly hesitant going into it because 2021 was a really huge year of shadow work for me personally. And I just thought, if I go and do 3 ceremonies in a weekend, that's what it was, 2 in a row, a day off, and then one more. I just thought, I don't know if I can handle adding more to my plate right now. I had just done a massive year of cleaning up huge parts of my life in 2021, and I was selling everything that I owned at the time, and I was moving to Bali from Texas. So I was like, I'm already going through so much internally, and I'm about to make a huge leap in my life and move across the world to Asia for the first time. So I don't know. Like, on one hand, I wanted the fresh reset. I wanted to enter as my newest version of myself and the clearest energetically. And also, I was nervous. And also, I knew it was really intense and I hate vomiting. So all of that combined led to a lot of hesitation personally for me. But also, when she calls, she calls. I knew at some point in my life I was going to do it. because I also believe that for me to continue asking all of you to make these huge leaps, my clients that I go on my hypnotherapy journeys with, I ask people to do some crazy shit. And I ask people to go really deep. I ask hard, difficult questions. I get in the nooks and crannies, and we go through the hard stuff. That's what my service is for. It's with love, compassion, grace, but we get to the deep, heavy stuff. That's what my practice is about. So I know that I also have to meet myself in those places if I'm going to be asking all of you to do the same. So there's just a level of integrity that I'm always striving to maintain in my practice and in my life. And I know that ayahuasca is the path of integrity. It shows you where you are out of integrity, sometimes in a very intense way, sometimes in a very loving way. That's kind of up to the medicine on how she delivers the message and how you receive the message. And yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. I am not going to sugarcoat it. As I mentioned, it was in Texas. It was on sacred land. Our shaman was from Colombia. He played beautiful music. We had a lot of beautiful musicians in the group. It was around 20 of us the first night. That was like an open ceremony. And then it went to a private ceremony where we had, I think, around 8 or 9 of us for the next 2 ceremonies. And my main thoughts overall were was even more intense than I thought it was going to be. To be honest, like it's kind of one of those things where you don't even really know what to expect. But my situation also, I feel, had unusual factors. One being that it happened to be a freak storm that weekend in Texas, like unusual for November. I'm talking about like hail, sleet, freezing rain. It was so cold. And we were doing our journey in a room that was not really insulated. It was heated, but the room was not insulated. And so we had a lot of people, and me and Emily did not really come prepared for that kind of weather because we didn't really think that the room it was going to be in was going to be so cold. So I had 3 or so blankets, covers over my head, as many clothes and scarves, whatever I could find, with any piece of cloth, a loincloth, a towelette, I would take anything. I was shivering because also you fast. So you have no food in your system that day, pretty much. They call it a dieta. It's pretty much no processed food, no sugar, no caffeine, no stimulants. Maybe taking a look at any medication that you're on. Really no dairy, reducing red meat. Yeah, it's just basically steamed vegetables and fruit. And I ate maybe like fish and roasted chicken the couple weeks before, but the 3 days before it was vegan. Because you want your body and channel to be in the most clear, open, light receptive state so that the medicine can really penetrate deeply and you have less to kind of work through once it hits your system. So we're in Texas. It's freezing cold. I am so hungry. I am not good with fasting. I am not a consistent faster. I eat a lot. And so that was already a huge hurdle for me, was the food portion of it. And now with the cold, it was just kind of a double whammy for me. And I just remember the very first ceremony. Before that, let me get to the shaman opens the space. He does about an hour and a half of praying. He calls in the 4 directions. He works with the elements. He's got his altar, his feathers. He does his deep ceremonial prayers. He opens up the space. He protects the land. We share our intentions around the group. That takes a time because it's 20 or so people. So to be honest, by that time, I'm like, it's 9 p.m. or something that I haven't eaten since breakfast. And I'm just like, my eyes are rolling. We haven't even taken the medicine yet. Once you take the medicine, people go up one at a time. You drink your cup, and then it takes about an hour to kick in. Another thing that I wish that I knew, that I had no idea, is that you take several cups throughout the night. I didn't know that. I thought it was a one and done, and that's what you got. And it was so intense that you don't need to take more. I took 1 cup. I think it was smaller because I told him it was my first time. That's another thing I didn't know. I thought that they kind of just looked at you, took an energetic read, decided how much you got, or maybe everyone got the same amount. I didn't really know, to be honest. And so I didn't know that you could let them know, hey, I want more or less. Some people had a huge cup, and it was so difficult listening to them drink it and try and get it down. Oh my God, I'm remembering it right now. Woo! Anyway, I didn't realize that you could ask for more or less. That's huge. I think that's huge for people because I think people are so intimidated by the intensity of it. That's one thing I really wish that I knew, and I would love to tell all of you, is that if you're scared or really nervous, you can ask for less and you don't have to take more throughout the night. So I took, I think, a smaller amount. After a few hours, they asked if people want to return and take more. And for whatever reason, Leo was feeling real frisky in that moment. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. But I'm also feeling like things were coming, memories were coming up, emotions were coming up. I don't think I had purged yet, but I definitely felt some nausea and stuff was moving for sure. I was in the process, I was in the journey. But I also didn't know that it kind of goes in waves up and down. So when they called that it's open for, another round if people want another cup, it happened to be somewhat of a lull for me. And I thought that it was going to just kind of stay there more or less. So I thought, all right, time for another cup. So I take another cup, and a little bit later, like maybe 10 minutes later, I have a huge purge. Not from the second cup, but from the wave coming back from the first cup. And I remember thinking, oh shit. Here we go, Leo. Curious George over here. Curiosity killed the cat. You just got a little too confident, didn't you? Didn't you, Leo? Lord have mercy. So then I knew I was in it. I was buckled up because here we go. Here's the other thing that I wish I knew. At least this is my experience. The purging tends to coincide with a topic or a theme that ayahuasca is bringing up in you. And because I was resisting throwing up, number one, because I hate it. Number two, I thought that if I started, I would never stop. And number three, it was so cold outside under my blankets and I was curled up in the fetal position. I didn't want to physically uncurl to get into the cold to reach my bucket to then purge for an unknown amount of time. So all of that in my head was like, and nope, I am going to try and shove this down as much as possible. However, that meant, for me at least, that you stay in whatever theme is coming up for the duration of that nausea period. The nausea will release if you can throw up. And I did not know that. Nobody told me that. That would have been lovely to know, to not hold it down, and that you will feel better after you purge, and that it will help to clear the energy of whatever is happening in your journey at that time. So I wish that I leaned into it more so that I could have a little bit more of an easeful ebb and flow, but I was resisting for all the reasons that I just mentioned. And after that, it was pretty intense because, again, I was pretty much throughout the whole night. I had a lot of beautiful moments. I had a lot of really good insights. She showed me visions of me eating so many meals in front of the screen, stuff about my diet. Definitely family dynamics came up. I just remember having a lot of love and appreciation for my parents, a ton of gratitude, just a lot of outpouring of compassion for everything that they have done as parents that you don't really realize or think about as you're growing up. You just assume that they're always there, and it's easy to take the support you have for granted when it's consistent. So that was the theme for me, being in a lot of appreciation, and food and screens and technology happened to come up a lot, and some other weird trippy things that were kind of just unexplainable. Oh Lord, I just remembered one more. The Cheshire Cat came up. So I used to watch this TV show when I was a kid. My favorite show was this show called Adventures in Wonderland. It was an Alice in Wonderland TV show. Go figure. I actually rewatched it recently. I'm like, this explains everything about my personality because it is wacky. The show is wild. And everyone's a human actor in the show except for the Cheshire Cat is this creepy animatronic sort of cartoon character in the show. I have to try and find a clip of it because it is so bizarre. He has kind of like a humanish face. It's so unwell. In my journey, this frickin' Cheshire cat comes up. I'm like, really? Can you be any more on the nose, ayahuasca? Like ayahuasca and Alice in Wonderland? Like, I got the message. And the cat appears and goes, disappearing is easy. And then he disappears. And then he reappears somewhere else and goes, it's reappearing. That's the trick. And that's it. And then I never saw him again. But I just remember thinking, oh, y'all did not just bring up the Cheshire freaking cat in my ayahuasca journey. And not just anyone, but this particular one.
Thank you. Thank you. For my first trick, I shall make something disappear before your very eyes. Disappearing is easy. It's reappearing. That's the trick. Hey, who's the magician around here anyway? That remains to be seen. All right.
Another theme throughout my journeys was a lot of like paradox energy. The energy was a little bit like, I'm always going to be a step ahead. You think you cute, you think you smart, but you can't outsmart the system. You're in my world, you're in my house. So sometimes I'd like go on these long tangents, these roads, like follow this theme, and then I would come to a dead end, and ayahuasca would be like, well, yeah, there was nothing there. Sorry. It was like, I just spent 30 minutes or something following this whole thread. I think I'm going on this deep journey. And she's like, no, you weren't. There was nothing there. Okay. It was very jester, jokery, kind of like, but I'm gotcha again kind of a feeling. Like you're in a hedge maze and I'm the queen of the maze and you're just in my house kind of a feeling. So the Cheshire cat kind of included itself. It was on theme. So it's interesting. And also ayahuasca sometimes gives you a message that you might not really decipher or integrate for months or years later. She plants seeds. She is a master seed planter. So in that moment, I didn't really know what the hell that meant. But now looking back years later, I have put it together that there was a lot of hiding. There was a lot of avoidance. There was a lot of, I'm on for a while and off for a while. I'm here and then I'm not there, moving a ton, just like inconsistency in my personal practice, in my integrity, in my path. And so she planted that seed, which funnily enough, I was not really ready to take that message in. And I think she knew that. So she's like, even if I told you, you're not in a maturity level to even hear what I have to tell you. So I'm just going to make this a riddle that you will solve 3 years later. And that is part of her magic. That's how she works. She can see also what you are ready and available for, and to deliver it sometimes in a message that has a delayed answer and response. So that was an interesting one for me because it went over my head that week. And then the second ceremony, I took a little bit less. I had a beautiful, graceful, lovely journey. It was wonderful. I did shadow work, but I just felt loved and held and supported and just melted into the music, and it was great. And then night 3 was quite hardcore, I'm not gonna lie. It was the opposite. I just had extreme nausea and physical cramping and a lot of shaking through their whole night. No visions, no downloads, no insights, no nothing. It was just physical discomfort. I was trying to shove my hands down my throat to make myself purge. That was not working. Nothing was coming out. I spent basically the entire night. I left the main room and went to a side room and just laid by myself, curled up in a miserable ball pretty much for the whole 8-10 hours, or however long it goes. Our journeys usually started around 9 o'clock and then we went till sunrise. So yeah, it goes all night. and then you share and you have your cleaning and limpia at the end. So night 3 was hardcore, and the only message really that I was receiving in that moment is I work with a lot of people that have chronic pain, chronic illness, really big stuff. I work with people that have cancer for many years and really long-term intense pain, and that has not been my experience. And I it added a layer of empathy and compassion and understanding for people that live in that kind of state every single day. Here I was whining and complaining about it, and that was only one night. Meanwhile, there are people that experience that as their regular. And so I think, again, for me to be able to meet people where they're at and go to a depth, I think sometimes we need to have a taste of their experience, even if it's just one evening. So I still haven't completely put the reason for that third night together. And I'm not even a person that really believes in reason. I don't think we need a reason for everything. So I kind of just let it be the experience that it was without trying to pick and dig at it endlessly. I figure if I will need to know something about it, that will come through at some point. So that was night 3. And overall, I left with a huge respect for people that are called to this path. There was a woman that was there on the journey with us who had done ayahuasca, I think 30 times. She was in her mid 70s. She did it once a year for the past 30 years. Just that, and the angel sitters, people that travel with the shamans and organize and produce and set up and do the calls and lay out the blankets and book this, like all of it. It's just a really intense path. It's not something you really choose. Either it's for you or it's not. I also left with a really beautiful connection to people. The community is strong. You get to know people really well. You hear what they're going through at night, the ceremonies, the sounds. You have the beautiful shares. People share from the depths of their soul. There's a real camaraderie that forms, obviously, during these moments. And with someone like me that's a little bit of a lone wolf, more or less, by choice, I enjoy processing solo. I enjoy going into the depths of things solo. And then I share or reach out when I need that kind of support. But I'm not someone that thrives in physical community and leans on that and is a pillar of my life. It's just not something that really calls to me. But to have it for that amount of time, I thought was really beautiful. The music, because you're so open. I mean, it's a strong hallucinogenic. So if you've ever taken acid or LSD or MDMA, think of how you experience music. And that's also one of the reasons I think a lot of the purging happens. The music is designed to kind of get in there, to like poke at knots, to find things, to strike an emotional chord, to find something in your energetic field, and kind of like a tuning fork, when it finds something out of resonance, it kind of creates even more of a distortion. It gets highlighted through the song because the song moves through you. It finds something that's heavy or dense, and then it kind of shakes and rattles it, and then it brings up the memories, the pain, and the emotions. You get the downloads, it shows you things, and then you purge the distortion out of your body. And then the song sounds so different after that. You're like, oh, how interesting. Now I hear this music completely differently. How beautiful. So I loved just absorbing the music during that ceremony. I think I just walked away feeling like I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad that I made it through and it was over, especially just because that third night was just so intense. The other thing that I left feeling really happy about was I left feeling like if there was ever something in my life that I could not get through on my own, something that really knocks me to the ground and I cannot get up from, something I cannot move through, I left feeling like I'm so grateful to know there's something out there that has the ability to get me through it. I left feeling, I know that if I was really at my wit's end about something or really in the trenches, that this medicine would be able to pull me out. I felt that with 100% confidence. And that brought me a lot of comfort. So, because this is an event that is in the future, I'm going to try not give too many details out of respect for everyone. But essentially, there is another group that is gathering for ayahuasca, and I was going to go volunteer for this group and just help out because I wanted to just be of service and just be there in a different way without taking the medicine. And I was told that if you want to participate and volunteer, that the shamans that are going to be pouring the medicine require that all volunteers be taking the medicine. Anyone that is on the land must be taking the medicine. And I said, well, you got me, Gail, because it was very clear for me to go and help support. And I was thinking that I would not be participating. However, once again, when she's got your name and number, she's got your name and number. And she got me. So I will be returning in a week and a half. And I remember having the phone call, signing up, hearing that message, and going, okay, well, I guess it's kind of decided. And hanging up the phone. And I remember thinking, okay, what is my journey going to be about? What is this round going to be? And as soon as that happened, the shadow work began. And I had about 4 days where when I would lay down in bed at night, I would get images and visions and patterns in my life that required deep presence and healing. Were things that were out of integrity that I needed to take action with to bring into integrity. And I have since done those things. And I feel very grateful for that because I know a little bit about what's ahead of me. And I feel just really good that I've had a full month to kind of process and get more of my life situated before entering that space. Not that you need to be, because that space is for realignment. It's going to get you together no matter what. I feel like it's going to provide for a very different type of experience. My intuition and assumption is that it might be more finding layers or components to it that I can't see right now, or just integrating. Now that I have been very sincere in cleaning up my side of the street this last month, I think that my journey will be a lot less intense and shocking because the big band-aid has already been ripped off. So now I think it's about deepening and integration and really allowing it to sink in and soak in the next level of integrity and consistency and devotion in my life that my spirit has been yearning and calling for a while. I am entering a phase of my life where my roots are growing deeply. That was something I kind of was avoiding and running from. Disappearing is easy. It's the reappearing that's the trick. And the cat has a lisp. The level of consistency that my spirit has been craving, I was not ready to offer myself. I was not ready to make that decision because I know the level of responsibility that comes with that. And I don't want to be wishy-washy. So I wasn't trying to fool myself or anyone. I knew that when I make a decision, I'm going to do it. And I wasn't ready to be fully dedicated to this level. I wasn't ready to really settle down. I wanted to explore and have my foot in two worlds, so to speak. And so now I do feel ready. And that is a much different place to make a decision from because it's not being forced upon me. It's something that I am choosing out of a true, authentic desire for myself. I didn't make this decision out of fear of retribution in my ayahuasca ceremony. It was, okay, so now is the time. And that's why all of this is happening. That's why the ceremony came up. That's why there's this rule that I have to be on the medicine. That's why I was called to volunteer to begin with. That's why I'm in this beautiful, stable home now. Like everything in my life is moving into a path of convergence and congruence. That is a really big word for me right now. I think when I look at people I look up to in their energetic mastery, they are people with a high level of consistency and congruence. You're getting a similar person. You're getting a similar energy. They have a similar message. They have a similar teaching. They have a consistent way of being and responding to themselves and the world. They're not on this roller coaster, triggered, not triggered, up, down, left, right, chaos, peace, stillness. They have found a way to be in the eye of their storm and let life just brew and circle and have its cycles, but not be pulled into that storm all of the time. And I think I am making my steps deeper towards that direction, and it feels so exciting. It feels really genuinely beautiful. And I feel a lot more ready and prepared this time around. I feel like I'm walking into it with much clearer eyes and a much more open heart and a much greater readiness for what wants to be revealed this time around. And now that I've had some practice leaning into the purging, letting the process unfold instead of trying to grip or control or navigate it or push things down, I'm also going to be bringing fans and things for temperature control. I mean, it's going to be hot this time, but I'm coming in a lot more prepared on all levels, and I'm ready. I feel ready for this next step, and I'm also excited once again that there is a tool, a medicine available out in the world that is designed for integration and deepening. I mean, there's really not that. How many things can you name where you lay your held and it reveals to you exactly what you need to see, experience, remember, and process? You're participating, but it's doing so much of the heavy lifting of bringing those things to your awareness that our conscious mind is blocking out all the time because we don't want to look there. So this is a medicine of going, well, here it all is, not in a rude way, not in a mean or antagonizing way, not in a cruel, you're being punished for your sins and doing bad things. This isn't a slap on the wrist. It's just a, hey, here it is. Here's the reality of what this has been. And is this the way of being that you want to stay in? Is this who you really want to be moving forward? Now that you have seen the truth, what is the path that you decide for yourself moving beyond this? And for me, that's been my experience with plant medicine. I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. I think that was a good overview. If you have more questions, if you'd like me to go deeper into some of these things, I'm also very curious to give a report afterwards. I could come after and be like, it was none of the things I was expecting. I was bamboozled twice. I am also available and open to that. So you just never know with Mama Aya. Thank you for staying here to the very end. If you've got more you want to hear about, please let me know, and stay tuned for the post Aya review, and let's see if my intuition was right or not. Have a beautiful day.